Our podcast is a part of the World Podcast Network, now with over 1,000 podcasts. Visit the World Podcast Network at worldpodcast.network to listen to podcasts in over 12 genres. Come vote our podcast episodes up and help us rise on the leaderboard. If you have a podcast of your own, you can join for free. Welcome to Reality Tea Times 2, a podcast where we discuss all the trash reality TV we love to hate. I'm Tanika, and today we are going to be discussing Bachelorette episodes, well, the hometown and the fantasy suite episodes. Probably going to do that all in one. So that's the episodes that we're going to be doing. So before we get into it, let's do some hot goss. So Ben Higgins, aka my indecisive Ben, I love him very much. He and his wife, Jessica Clark, are going to be parents. So on Sunday, August 18th, Ben and his wife announced in an Instagram reel that she's 29. I don't know why that's relevant, but anyways, in the article, is pregnant and expecting their first child, and it's going to be a girl. The video, which the couple shared jointly on their respective Instagram accounts, features clips of different moments in the pair's relationship, including their engagement proposal, scenes from their wedding, and sweet footage of them hugging. Also in the video, which was set to country singer Cody Johnson's song On My Way to You, fans can see a clip of the couple's dog Waylon wearing a handkerchief reading Big Brother. Very cute. I think her name's Sarah, right? Did I say that? Injected herself with a shot into her with a shot into her stomach, seemingly a hormone injection for promoting pregnancy, and a few short moments of their friends and family reacting to the news of her pregnancy. And they also put quote, "The next chapter of our love story, baby girl coming in February." So I'm sure we'll have an update on that once February rolls around, but congratulations to them on their baby to be. So next piece of hot goss. I say goss. This is just Bachelor centric. So Zach is finally revealing what happened in the fantasy suite with Rachel during Rachel's season, The Bachelorette, season 19. Zach filmed a TikTok video on fiancée Katie's account after a fan asked him to set the record straight about his night with Rachel. He said, quote, "I'm sorry, guys. It's anticlimactic, really." And this was in a video that he did on August 17th. He said, quote, "We just were not compatible at all. Like, we both couldn't really see a future with each other. And why just go to the next week, try to figure it out then? We both knew it wasn't." So, yeah, we kind of let that one go. And yeah, I think that was probably for the best. But I think just to keep it Bachelor related, we'll leave it there for now. Just 2 pieces this time around. But we'll have more in another episode. But let's get into the reason that we are here. Bachelorette season 21, episode 7, Hometowns. So we are in Houston, Texas with Devin. He's first. And we're going to be meeting his running club. He runs once a week. And we got Jenn and Devin shirts from the running group here. They came in with shirts for them. They too get to wear the shirts. And we're going on a love run because why not? And he he sweats a lot. He's really sweaty afterwards, which is like usually I'm not really into sweat. I don't think men sweating is great, but then again, I guess if it's your man, because my man's a sweater too, and doesn't bother me. But it's just, yeah. And um he does throw out the L word here, says that he does love her. Um like he's not just falling at this point, he's in love with her. And we meet Charlie, the most important girl in his life, his pup. And he says that he is nervous for tonight. I don't think bringing someone home is like a regular occurrence for him, so he's nervous. Um, so yeah, his dad is also going to be there. So this is gonna be interesting. So we're at the point now where we're meeting the fam, and there's a sign on the lawn that says, "Welcome home, Devin." Howdy, Jen. I thought it was funny. And so just I don't have names. We're just gonna go through the family that we have here, but I don't have names for anybody, just heads up. So we have mom, we have I think I did catch her name. Her name is Jenn. We have grandpa, we have grandma, we have a brother and his stepdad as well, and obviously his dad, because we already talked about. And they kind of talk about the journey so far. Thunder Down Under. We talked about that. The fact that he wasn't wearing much. And Devin and Dad do have a talk by themselves. And he says, he says to his dad, I do love her, but I don't want to tell her. Or maybe he hasn't really told her. He says, like, I don't know. I don't know. I swear he said that he did, but he doesn't, I guess, want to tell her, like, he's in love with her, but he's only saying falling in love at this point. But yeah. Anyways, he doesn't want to tell her. And then have her potentially say that to someone else, because that would crush him. Dad just doesn't want him to get hurt. I mean, you also gotta take that leap, right? At the same time. Mom and Jenn talk by themselves, and Mom does ask her, do you think you're falling for him? And she says, I can't see a future with him. It's kind of the thing she always says about Devin. And that's something she continues on saying even into the next episode, that she can see a future with him. I want everyone to hold on to that who maybe didn't watch the episode. It was a few weeks back now, but when we didn't watch the episode, that's kind of a running theme for her, is I see a future with him, for him. So Devin and Mom then talk, and she wants to make sure that she said, I want to make sure you're in the right place. And he also tells his mom that he is in love with her, but she tells him, listen, I do think you need to open up, especially because, there are other men here involved in this. You don't want to be the one that loses out because you're the only quote unquote oddball who isn't saying how they're feeling. Again, though, what I'm going to say, and I don't want to talk ill on other people because there's really no one here that I dislike. And for this situation, it's like, well, if you kind of hesitate with the feelings you have with her, she's drawn to that. I'm going to talk about that a little more in the next episode, because I did find it very interesting that she seems to be running away, quote unquote, from the person who says, like, I'm not saying she has to be with that person, but quote unquote running away from the person who, like, is very much expressing his feelings for her, and I believe him and I think they're real. And she's afraid of feeling that and letting that in because she's never had that before. But then she's running to the person who is saying, like, I really truly want to get there, but I'm not there yet. No, I'm not like coming at Marcus in any way. I think, well, I'll get more into it, but I think with Marcus, like, there's a lot that's holding him back with everything this poor man has been through in his life. And I don't think it has anything to do with Jenn. But if you're at a place where you're like, I'm ready for this, this, and this, but this person can't give it to me, why are you running towards that? Why, like that? I feel like she's creature habit. She's used to someone not giving her everything. She knows that. She's comfortable with that. So I did find that very interesting, but we'll talk more about that when we get to them. But Yeah, she's you don't want to be the one that gets like let go. And she's like, if you, yeah, I think you might lose her if you don't. Yeah. So the day is kind of over at this point. They do go outside, and here he does tell her, I love you. And she is happy. And she seems very excited that he feels this way about her. And she does say to him that I'm falling so hard for you. And after today, my feelings are growing. So she's not fully saying outright, I'm falling in love with you. And that's okay. She doesn't have to. But I think like the stark contrast between really all the other men, kind of Jeremy excluded, but all the other men and then Marcus, I just want that to be evident. I'm trying to stress that. So yeah, it's just interesting. That's all I'm saying. But anyways, that's the end of Devin and Devin's hometown. Next, we are in Fairfield, Connecticut with Jeremy. We're at his favorite park. It's very discreet. It's kind of remote. And she's like, you're not trying to kill me though, right? And it's funny, there was like a like text at the bottom there that's like, this is not Camp Crystal, so we're good. Okay. Um, so we're going to a market. It's a farm market that he likes to go to. I think it's also a market he went to a lot as a kid. And when we kind of go into this market, there's a lot going on. Okay, there's a lot going on. We have animatronics playing different songs, and we have donuts, we have cake, we have there's, there's a lot going on. It looks a lot of fun, but there's a lot going on. And I think they kind of juggled something. I can't remember what it was now, but they were juggling something at one point. They were having fun. Then all of a sudden he's like, "Oh, that's my aunt." So we literally like meet a family member who we're not going to meet later, but it's his aunt just kind of shows up. Um and they were just kind of seeing him eating some lobster with the butter dripping down the face, and it's fun. They had fun. It was a fun little start. But then we're meeting the family, and we got mom, we have a stepdad, we have older sister, we have her fiance, and also his younger sister. And we kind of go again, talk about the process with these two. And we do talk about him rolling up in the sports car and the comments about the fact that he has a really, really big penis. So, and his mom's like, oh my God. And what was interesting too, clearly his mom's a fan of the show, because she says, when I heard the kind of things that Jenn was looking for in a man when she was talking about that during, I believe it would have been the Women Tell All, I think is when they announced it was going to be her. Oh, no, 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 sorry, it wasn't Women Tell All. It was after the final rose. And she mentioned what she was looking for in a man. And she's like, that's not my son. That's just not Jeremy. So that's very interesting. Because again, I'm going to stand by the fact that I don't like, I like Jeremy. I think Jeremy's a nice guy. I think he's funny. He's cute, whatever, like all of those things. He seems great. But I don't understand. I'm going to stand on, I'm going to stand in my feelings. And I'm going to say, I do not understand how this man got a hometown date over Grant. Now, it doesn't matter because Grant's the next bachelor, so it's fine. I'm great with that. But I still don't understand. It wouldn't have taken away from him being the bachelor either way, because she wouldn't have picked him. I don't think. I don't think she would have picked Grant. They started off kind of great and everything, and then they kind of fell. So I don't think she ever would have picked Grant anyways, but I still don't get how he did not get a hometown date over Jeremy. Like, where are the days gone are the days when you would have a one-on-one date and someone actually not get a rose at the end of the date. We haven't had that in some time. We haven't had that in a while. I think we're due for someone to go on a one-on-one date and then not get a rose at the end, you know? Like, that's the thing, like, as much as Rachel like, we had when we had Rachel and Gabby's season, as much as Rachel bothered the hell out of me more during that season, like, she didn't bother me during, whose season was she a part of? Clayton? I think it was I think it was Clayton. As much as that didn't bother me, oh shit, I just realized something, y'all. I have a hot goss that's coming up in a little later on. Him and Susie aren't together anymore. Who would have thunk? Who would have thunk? Who would have not known that that was just not gonna work? That just hit me. That just hit me. The hell that he put these three women through for him to not even stay with her. What an asshole. Anyway, moving on from that. As much as I liked Rachel during Clayton's season, when she had her own, she really bugged me. But at least with Rachel, if something didn't feel right with a one-on-one guy, she didn't give him a rose. Like, I have to say, like, where are those days? Just because you have this good date with Jeremy, then doesn't mean you have to then give him the most important rose of the entire process, which is a hometown date rose, you know? Like, I don't know. Whatever. I'm off my soapbox. Let's get back to this. So then she talks to one of his sisters, Jen does, and she asks, like, do you think he's really ready for this? I actually have to turn this back around on her. Are you sure about him? Because where did Jeremy say that he isn't ready for this? I haven't heard Jeremy say that. Actually, funnily enough, I've heard Marcus say that a bunch of times, but you didn't ask his family that question. We'll get to it. But you're going to ask Jeremy's family about that. Is it more about the fact that you think he isn't ready for marriage, or is it that you just don't see it with him? Because I think it's more that you just don't see it with him. Which is why, again, I'm going to ask, why did he get this rose the week before? So, they say, well, maybe, they kind of said, like, not based on the timeline. There we go. I can't read my writing, guys. Based on the timeline, maybe he wouldn't be fully ready because this is a fast timeline. This is a lot. It's a big deal. So maybe like he isn't there just based on those things alone, but that doesn't necessarily mean that he doesn't want to be married, right? So then the sister talks to Jeremy and he says he can see a future with her. And she says, Jen told me that you got some walls up. What do you mean he has some walls up? Because even he's like, well, I don't think I have walls up. There's a difference between there being walls up with him, which I actually don't think there is. I think it's more the fact that you two don't know each other because you haven't given enough time to know him before giving him a hometown date. You gave this guy a one-on-one the week before a hometown and then give him a rose. But it's not like you guys have really developed much of anything in comparison to the others prior to that prior to that one-on-one date. So is it that he has walls up? Which again, I say no, I don't think he has walls up. I think you just don't know him. So I feel like that's kind of pushing it onto him than her taking accountability for the fact that she is on a hometown date with somebody who she does not see it with. And I don't particularly like that. And again, we saw that with, what's his name? The guy that left. Um, it's right there, y'all, and I can't remember his name. The guy with the mullet. When he left, Austin, that's it. When Austin left, she made it about her. She turned that around and be like, am I just not like doing this right? No, how about it has nothing to do with you and just has everything to do with Austin's feelings in that moment? She doesn't take accountability. I mean, in that case, not even so much accountability, but she doesn't look at the big picture of things before making a conclusion. Maybe that's more of what I want to say. And she's doing this with Jeremy as well, just very differently, but she's doing it with him as well. It ain't about him having quote unquote walls up. It's just you just don't know him. I kind of bothered me. Um, but yeah, he says, I don't think so. And he's like, her sister says, well, you can be guarded. So, maybe there's a something about that, but I still don't think that's the case here with Jen and Jeremy because they haven't developed that relationship yet. But yeah, he can still be guarded, if that's the case, but she's like, you haven't really expressed your feelings. What feelings? And where is the space for him to express those feelings to her? They don't, okay, I'm a cuss, guys. He doesn't fucking know her. And she doesn't know him. So where is that space to feel comfortable to express yourself? Like, I'm frustrated by this whole thing. So she says, in her in the moment, I guess this is the sister. Um, I'm not saying that I'm going, oh no, he says, sorry. I'm not saying that I'm going to propose to her tomorrow. He's like, I'm taking it day by day. And I think that should be understood and that's fair because again, he isn't in the same place as Devin or Jonathan or even Marcus for that matter. He's light years behind them. So yes, he would take it day by day. He would not necessarily propose to her tomorrow because he's not in the same place as everybody else. And why should he be? This is the problem with this show. So then he talks to his mom and she asks the tough questions like, do you know enough um of each other? Which no, they don't. I've really stressed out at this point. She's skeptical because this is I think this is love, I think is what I don't know what I wrote. Then mom talks to Jen and Jen does say to her, like, I am I am concerned about us not being able to get out of the fun stage of things, which again, I'm sorry, but isn't that partially on you? Like, again, the accountability, that's partially on you. You didn't give this man enough. When I just look at the past bachelorettes and even the bachelors, we'll look at Charity, for example. Man, I can't remember all the men she had left, but obviously she had Joey, she had um Dawn, but I can't remember who else she had left. Oh, maybe Aaron might have been in the yeah, Aaron was one of them. I can't remember who the other one was. Off the top of my head right now. But it made sense. It made sense that she had Aaron at a hometown date because she had built that connection with him. It made sense that she had Joey because she had built that connection with him. Obviously, it made sense that she had Dotton because that's who she picks, but that made sense. And I feel like even the fourth person who I can't remember off the top of my head right now, that even still made sense to me. It doesn't make sense to me how you have three guys here or four guys here, three of them make sense, but the one does not. Like, I'm confused. I don't think she did a good job with the four men she had left because I don't get it. So, mom says that she is unsure if he is ready for an engagement. No, he's not ready for engagement with her under these circumstances. And then they say their goodbyes at this point, and we sit in a chair outside like we always do on the garden. And she asks, like, "Are you ready for this?" And he says, "I am ready for the right person." He's ready for the right person. But is Jenn the right person? I don't think so. So he's like, "I am falling in love with you." And I want to believe he believes he is. And again, like, obviously he's going to feel differently to himself than he would with her, but I don't think he truly, I don't want to say he wasn't because it's his feelings, it's his whatever, but I don't know. And I know she damn well wouldn't have been falling in love with him either. Like, they just weren't there. I feel like I gave a spoiler there. So, anyways, we're done with them. Now we're heading to San Diego with California with Jonathan, and they're going to be playing lacrosse together because if you remember, they both played lacrosse in high school. And he says that he is a little hesitant to say that he is falling in love with her. And again, I think like it has nothing to do with her. I think it just obviously has to do with him. He's talked about this, expressing his feelings is really difficult, especially with the last relationship that he was in. So we are meeting the family now, and we're meeting mom, dad, brother, sister-in-law, and his sister. And they talk about the process thus far for them. His sister-in-law tells the story of how his brother and her actually met on Tinder. And here's the story of the Tinder. The Tinder's not the issue. Here's the story of the stuff that didn't, not the issue. I don't say issue, but here's how it worked out here. So we met on Tinder. And I think within like 2 days or something like that, 3 days, sorry, 3, the "I love you" started popping out after 3 days of talking. And they moved in together after 2 weeks and have been together for 7 years and married for 4. Now, that somehow worked for you. That does not work for most. Nor do I want to encourage that. Know who you're getting involved with. You're not going to know them after 2 weeks. Just saying. And I wouldn't feel comfortable. What if he was an axe murderer? You know what I mean? Anyway. So she talks to his brother and his sister-in-law, and she does say here that I am falling for all of the guys. But she is getting there, she says, with Jonathan, which again, I do want to stress that. She's getting there with Jonathan. She sees a future with Devin. And I just want to stressing that very much. So then she talks to his mom and she tells her, "I wouldn't be here if I didn't see him at the end of this." And his sister tells him, "Don't hold back. Tell her how you're feeling." Then he talks to his mom, and his mom basically says, like, "Why are you holding your emotions back?" And he says this is like he's kind of questioning, is this who she really is, or is she just showing a side of herself because that's what you do in the beginning of a relationship. You show the good side and then you get comfortable and you're just like, "Rah," you know what I mean? So that's what he's questioning. Now, jokes aside, obviously he's experienced someone showing the quote unquote good sides of them. And then when the bad sides started to come out, it didn't work out. So that's where he's coming from with that, obviously. And he does ask, is this a, or sorry, I think he does. He does ask, like, is this a person you could see me with long term? And his mom says, absolutely. And says that you need to take the risk. He's like, it might hurt because that's what love hurts. Okay. But it's better to put yourself all the way out there and know that you did with, not having any regrets. So he feels like he has the clarity that he needed. And they say their goodbyes and they go sit in the garden. And he tells Jenn, that they loved you. They're happy with you. They loved you. And he says, I'm getting there, like 100%. And then he says, Jennifer Tran, I'm falling in love with you. And she says, I'm also falling for you. So, and it just how it was supposed to. Now we're going to the last hometown date, and we are in Tacoma, Washington with Marcus. And she says that he's been struggling to express his feelings, and she admits that maybe she's further along than he might be. Hold on to that. And she will be meeting, we're kind of going straight into her meeting the family. So she'll be meeting his sister, obviously, Scott and Sue, who are his mentors, not his adoptive parents. His adoptive parents, unfortunately, couldn't be there. I think there was some sort of scheduling conflict, so they couldn't be there. But we do have friends as well, so we have lots of people. I don't know if it's just me or maybe he looks like an actor or something, but his one friend there, his name was, trying to find his name again, Ethan. He looked really familiar. I don't know why. And the camera really was focusing on Ethan. I don't know why. Is he an actor? Like, I'm curious. I don't know. But he did look very familiar to me. Maybe I should do a Google. I don't know. It was interesting to me that they kept really focusing on him. Okay, so I couldn't find anything, unfortunately, and that was what I was worried about, was I was gonna get spoiled, and I did. Um, but that's okay. I think I kind of gathered where this was going, but, um, the one thing that I did find out, though, was that Marcus was thinking that Daisy was gonna be the Bachelorette. Okay, so moving on. So, yeah, they do talk about the process thus far, and he said that, he was the first one on one date, and Marcus does talk to Scott, and he says that I feel stuck between liking her and loving her. And he says, I'm not in love with her. And he questions, am I afraid? And he's kind of hoping for the clarity from, the hometown date here. Sue talks to Jenn, and she says, I can see a future with him, but we we have been holding back on everything, um, with the feelings, and, that obviously concerns her, and then she does talk to Gabby, who's his sister, and his sister can see that Jenn is pure, but she also wants to protect her brother, and I totally get that, and she says, have has he been, I guess, having issues opening up fully, being vulnerable, or she says, like, he does have issues with opening up. And she asks, like, do you love him? And she's like, I can see that happening for sure, but I am holding back. And then she kind of starts crying. Like, I think she's really into Marcus, and that's concerning. Or is it? Because I just got spoiled. So, but yeah, it's a little concerning. Like, her feelings for him are really bringing her to tears. Like, I think if he could get there, she would pick him. So she said, I'm definitely falling in love with him, and I just don't want to be hurt either. Um, then Marcus talks to Gabby, and he says that I like her. And um, she's like, she opened up pretty quickly. And are you? Um, he's like, as much as I can, like, he can see, I guess, the future. He said the speed of everything is bringing him out. And he wants to open up to her on a deeper level before making huge leaps, that being proposal. And he says that the thing I want the most is to be a father. And Gabby says, you gotta put the walls down. And that's probably easier said than done, but you gotta try. Love is scary, but it's with, it's gonna have a good end in the end. Then we say the goodbyes, and they go sit outside, and he does say to her, that they love her. And he's like, I want you to know that I am falling in love Like, I am falling for you. And she says that I am falling for you too. And again, like, I want to believe Marcus. And I really like Marcus, don't get me wrong. I really like him. But I don't I don't know. Like, I just don't know if he can get there. Back in LA, we got the guys meeting up before the next rose ceremony, and they're just powwowing about their hometowns and everything. And Marcus looks like he is having a little bit of a mentee bee at the moment. He is not in the same place as the other guys, and he's seeing that in this moment. He's like, I feel like I have reservations. And he's like, I need to feel things before I can propose. Um, he's like, I'm not sure, maybe some of the other guys feel the same way. And he kind of asks them, I guess, to kind of see where y'all at. And Devin is like, no, no, I have no reservations. And he feels like there might be something wrong with him. Now, there's nothing wrong with you. You move a little slower than everybody else. You've also had different experiences than everybody else that maybe hold you back in different ways than everybody else. There's nothing wrong with you. And this is a crazy process that expects someone to get engaged after 9 weeks or whatever. So it's nothing's wrong with you. Don't ever think there's something wrong with you. Anyway, we got the rose ceremony. And what's really funny is that Jeremy in this moment says, it's a beautiful night for heartbreak. Well, with that being said, Jenn gives the roses to Devin, Jonathan, and Marcus. Jeremy is going home. Yep, Jeremy, it really was a good night for heartbreak. But anyway, that's the end of the hometown dates. We're going to take a little break here, and when we come back, we will jump in with the fantasy suites. And I am back. So let's jump in with the fantasy suite. So we are in Hawaii Island, and Molly's here to kind of help with this part of the journey since she has been in this journey. Now, I don't know why they had to ask her to be here. And here's why. Bear with me here as I go through this. Yes, she has been in this journey, but in this part of the journey, obviously, no, mind you, she wasn't picked at the end. Let's not forget that. That, after the rose, was nuts. Anyway, so, yeah, she's been in this journey, obviously, yes, and she was at this part of the journey. But she was at this part of her journey as a contestant. She wasn't the Bachelorette. Now, maybe that's me being bitchy, but I really think, like, couldn't Charity be here? Maybe Gabby, Rachel, someone who has been in this journey. I mean, even Gabby or Rachel would have made even better sense. Even Charity would have made better sense because actually, I'm not even sure Charity went to Fantasy Suites at all with Zach. I can't remember. I don't think so. She did get to Hometown, but I can't remember she went to Fantasy Suites. But Gabby and Rachel, yes, did. Those would have been great options, because they've not only been a quote unquote contestant on the other side, but they've also been the Bachelorette. That would have made so much more sense, I think. Or, that would have made more sense. Molly, because Molly wasn't a Bachelorette. But anyways, hell, even Trista. Trista would have made sense too. Like, I don't know. Maybe I'm just picky. I don't know. But anyway, I like Molly, don't get me wrong, but I'm just saying. Anyway, after that though, we have the first date. Oh no, sorry, before we have that, sorry, I'm getting confused here. Molly does say to Jenn that after that date that we had with the radio date, the date heard around the world because of Sam, Molly did think that Jonathan actually gave great answers. He was very engaging. with Jenn as well when answering those questions. Like, he actually gave the thought that he's really in this with her. We do the rundown with the other guys. Devin is playing golf with Jesse while we're doing that because I guess that's what we're going to be doing. Guy who goes on the golf date with Jesse gets to go on the real date with Jenn. But she does say, talking about Devin, that she's not in love with him, but she is falling in love with him. So, okay. But she said, maybe I'm self-sabotaging because Devin maybe feels so perfect. And that's probably what she feels like she really does deserve. But maybe, she's maybe thinking that's too good to be true, which I get. But anyways, so first date, we have Devin. I did write in my notes turtle, and they made me think of crush, so I wrote turtle. So yeah. Devin is next. So we're gonna be flying in a helicopter, and she says, she's so close to being in love with him, and she's just not there yet. And we see a rainbow, and the helicopter got real choppy at one point. They're like, "Whoa." But then we kind of land near a waterfall. They're kind of just looking at the waterfall. They're not going into the water or anything like that. Um, and then they have a little picnic on the beach with, not really a picnic really. It's more like champagne on the beach. But he wants to bring her into the real world. He wants to see what that real world is going to look like with her. And he wants to do, all the hustle, things, right? And acclimate to normal life. And he wants to have that family as well. He's all about this. He's literally telling her, this is everything that I want. Everything we're doing here, I want that. And not only that, but I want that with you. So he says that you make sense to me. And that's why I said that I love you. And that's the thing. He's saying that because what he was kind of saying to Jesse earlier was, I'm telling her that I love her. I kind of want to hear it to kind of give me the validation that I need, right? And the thing is that here's the thing. Would you have wanted her to say that she loves you and then her not pick you? Like, wouldn't you not want that reserved for you at the end? I hear what he's saying, but it's like, I do understand when people say, I don't want to say that to someone yet until I know who I'm picking at the end. So because again, I'll tell you why people do that. People looked at Indecisive Ben and were like, ooh, don't want to do that. I love you, Ben. Wasn't a good look, though. What's not a good look? So, I don't know. But that's why he's dropping the L word in this moment, because he's kind of prompting her to kind of see if maybe she says something back. And she says that she's excited to hear him say that he's in love with her. And she's like, sometimes it's hard to accept a good thing when I see it. The self-sabotage. And she's like, I'm trying to lean in, but just know that I'm getting there. This is what she says to him. Then they go swimming. Now, obviously, when you're kind of hoping someone says the love you word, and they don't, or saying this is not going to satisfy him. And we'll see the spiral happen later. So now we have the night portion of the date, and he says, I want to ask, when you say you can't recognize a good thing, what do you mean? And she's like, it's that self-sabotage in me. It's due from the trauma. And she's like, I question whether or not you're real. And she's like, I haven't had this before, which again is all of those things. When the good thing happens, and I think this really does kind of explain it really in a nutshell. When you have a good thing happen to you after all of the bad, and not even just the bad in relationships, but just the bad in life, you're just like, are you real? Like, how did I manifest you? Because you're not what I usually manifest. So I kind of understand her. Um, but then again, that's why I say maybe therapy should have been a good idea for you went on Joey season. I'm not saying she's not in therapy, but like, what would you have done if if Joey did pick you, you know what I mean? Like, how would you have handled that? Because I would also think, like, he's a really good guy, and the thing is, like, again, not saying you should change their thought process just based on one guy's, ways with you, but you were with Joey for we went through pretty much the entire close almost the entire process, and he was great with you. So, like, it kinda would have made you think, like, "Okay, I had a good guy with Joey, and here's another good guy." Like, good guys exist, so don't self-sabotage, but I don't know. Again, who am I? Um, she explains that she's kinda just waiting for the other shoe to drop kind of thing. And she says that I don't toss the word around very easily. I would love I think he says, sorry, I would love sorry, he says I don't toss the word around easily. Then he says, "I would love to call you my wife." Then we got the, fantasy suite card, and it says, "Jen and Devin, hope you enjoyed your day, blah, blah, blah. Should you choose to forego your individual rooms, please use the key or this key to stay as a couple in the fantasy suite, Jesse." So they say yes to the fantasy suite, and that is where they're headed. So the next, sorry, I might have just hit my mic, y'all. Sorry about that. So I think Devin is more like Pete Davidson than we all thought. Cause she's like, he did every way, if you catch my drift. I think they had sex, y'all. And he says that I love you. And when they're saying goodbye, and she says, okay. She says, okay. Ma'am, you could have just said nothing. Would have been better than saying, okay. If I said to my man, I love you, and he said, okay, no, that's unacceptable. Um, he also had kind of hoped, I guess, that he would have, been hearing it back. But anyway, next date, we got Jonathan, and they go get just a shit ton of mini donuts. And he's kind of like that typical workout guy that's like, oh, I guess I'll have a cheat day. It's fine. Live a little, okay? And the night portion of the date, and she wants to see him open up more, um, to see kind of what the relationship would look like, after all of this is over and done with. And you're talking to him about struggling to accept her identity as an Asian woman, a Vietnamese American woman, and people would judge her for the little things. Like, she'd bring a certain type of lunch, people would judge her, and kinda her talking about this kind of brought certain things back for me, because I'm like, yeah, I would, because I wasn't the kind of kid that wanted to eat a lot of sandwiches. I wasn't a sandwich kid. I was the kid who would have to eat, like, warm food, whether that be typical, Jamaican food, or just any other kind of food, or sometimes I would maybe eat, like, with, like, tuna and mayonnaise on, like, crackers or something. Like, that's what, I still do, as an adult. And you would get teased about certain things that you would eat, and it's just like, "The fuck?" Like, kids are mean, and you kind of forget that, and that's the thing. It's like, y'all just jealous because she's coming in there with some good ass food, and y'all just jealous. Like, but that's the realities of, if you're just slightly different or at all different, um, you get teased for that. And she said, like, she would, like, hate herself or not like those good parts about her because of how others viewed her, and that sucks. Um, but obviously she has come out the other side of that, and she says that, she wants to be able to show her kids to love who they are. Um, that's very important for her, and He wants to learn how to cook Vietnamese. He wants to be a part of that. He also understands her perspective being biracial. Um, so they definitely seem to be pretty on the same page with that. Um, but then the fantasy suites card comes out, and this one reads, "I hope you've discussed that love, much like your date today, is about the journey, just as much as the destination. And should you choose to forego your individual rooms, please use this key to stay as a couple in the fantasy suites, Jesse." And he says yes to spending the night together, obviously. This is what this is for. I mean, again, gone are the days where people would say no to this. There were times when people said no to the fantasy suites, but anyways. Um, so it's the next morning. All seems to have gone well the night before. He can't believe that she is in bed with I feel like she said something in particular, but I can't quite read what I wrote, but that she's in, bed with him. So anyways. Then we kind of see Devin, and he's kind of spiraling right now. And he isn't receiving what he feels he's giving. And he doesn't want to be an option. He wants to feel like number one. Well, in Jen's defense in this, you're not the only one. You are quote unquote an option in the literal sense. But at the same time, then I also do understand what he's saying, but you knew what you were signing up for. And you knew well, maybe you don't. Maybe you don't watch the show, but you literally have to kind of sit there and be patient and kind of wait to be told the things you want to be told because you're not the only one here. It's to respect everybody else, not to disrespect you. Then again, she also isn't there yet, but she also told him that. So like, I don't know. Um, but last date we have Marcus, and we see him playing golf with Jesse now. And he says this week is very important. He says he's got a lot of work to do, and he says he hasn't had that feeling of being in love with her. And he maybe needs to hear like that reason why she chose him. But again, it shouldn't matter what brought her there for you to get there. Either you're there or you're not there. You shouldn't be banking your feelings for somebody because of how they feel. Like you should, like for me, I'm not basing the reasons why I love my boyfriend based on his feelings for me. I'm basing that just on how I feel about him. So I didn't quite like the fact that he said, like, I kind of maybe need to maybe it's the validation, but she's been validating you more so than anyone else. And yet that's still not enough. Now you need to know the reason why she chose why not? I ask why not? Why not choose you? You know what I mean? So Jesse says, you know you're an inspiration. And he is. And he says, well, I'm trying. And he says, I need to just figure out if I am in love and just not realizing it, or if I'm just maybe trying to create feelings that just maybe don't exist. So now we're on the actual date with Marcus, and she says, y'all, my girl literally said she's in love with Marcus, not just falling. She's in the muds of love with Marcus. And and this is when I said, wait a whole last minute. So and I'm not saying she shouldn't feel, listen, when I saw Marcus on the actual show, because obviously we've seen pictures of him prior, when I saw him on the show, I'm like, oh, I love him. I think that's definitely the person she should be picking. And I think if things were different, I'd still feel that way. But it's like you have this person who is so unreachable in so many ways right now. But the people who are expressing themselves more so I'm gonna say Devin, because I think Jonathan's definitely there, but he's not expressing in the same way Devin is. But either way, you have these other guys expressing their feelings for you, not have any reservations towards you, and you're just like, I don't know, it doesn't feel like it feels too good to be true. And it's you're literally going towards a person who is emotionally unavailable, and it is literally because that is what you're used to do. And this is not why you're on a show like this. You're on a show like this to find the person who is emotionally available to you, who does want to have the things that you want to have. And I'm not saying that Marcus doesn't want to have those things, but right now he is emotionally unavailable, not just to you, but to anyone. So it's just, what is happening is the question that I have right now, is what's happening? So, and if Devin hurt you, from what I understand happens with this, I wouldn't be surprised if this was part of the problem. But I don't know. I don't know anything, y'all. Don't say anything to me yet. I'm gonna be watching the show. I will find out. But yeah, so that's what she says, that she's there with him. Says that she's been feeling it for a couple of weeks at this point, and we're going on a boat ride, but it's gonna be a surprise boat ride, y'all. It's a surprise one. And it requires the sun to go down. That's all we know at this point. So she has been to Honolulu before. She was 3 years old, and her dad ended up winning a trip, an online trip to Hawaii, where nowadays, if you see, oh, you want a trip to Honolulu, you would say it's a scam. Back then, it wasn't. So, I mean, I still feel like that would have been a scam, because she's only, what, 25? So that's like only like 20 years ago. Still think it was a scam. Anyway, it wasn't a scam. It was real. And she wants to be a mermaid. She loves mermaids, so she wants to be a mermaid. And in the moment, all of the worries seem to go away, he says. Um, and we do see the sun is starting to go down. And apparently, we are going to be going snorkeling with the manta rays, and the manta rays apparently glow in the dark. Y'all, when I saw these manta rays glowing in the dark, I was in awe. Like, I don't know if nature is incredible. I was in awe. Like, I have no problem seeing like a manta ray lighting up and stuff like that, but like, I'm sure there's other things that also do the same thing that are just I don't care for. But the manta rays, I thought, like, first of all, I love stingrays. I think stingrays are adorable. Manta rays, I've I don't know if I've ever really truly seen a manta ray, but before this, and they're shaped so interestingly. But the lighting up, the glowing in the dark was the coolest thing I think I've ever seen. So cool. Um, when they come out of the water from swimming with the manta rays, a shooting star just kind of goes on by. What are the odds of that? Anyway, the night portion now, the further night portion, she's planning to tell him that she is falling in love with him. Y'all. Meanwhile, you have Devin being like, please say you love me. And she won't. But she's going to say to the person who is emotionally unavailable that she's in love with him. And I don't know what her goal is here. Is her goal to tell him I'm in love with you to see if maybe it closes the gap with him? Because in all honesty, if you're not fully there and you have this person say, I'm in love with you, it would scare them away, not endure them to you, you know? So she basically says that she wants him to tear those walls down. So that's why it makes me think that she's only telling him this because she wants him to tear the walls down. But then, is that authentic? I know. And he's really nervous. And he says the last rose ceremony, um, he feels like, him kind of being one of the last ones standing. that he kind of lost the confidence and he got in and got on his what? On his head. There we go. And he says, with the road with the proposal, um, he wants to kind of do that one time. And he wants to feel certain about the path that he's going down. And he's literally kind of telling her he's not. And he thinks that there is a lot of potential right now, and he can't, or I guess maybe he wouldn't have want to experience this with um, anyone else maybe. And he has never met anyone like her before. He feels like she deserves someone who is sure about her, which again, that's his way of saying he isn't sure about her. He's like, I don't know if I am putting pressure on myself. Maybe yes, maybe no, like who knows? And he says maybe it's because of the timeline, it's fast or whatever, and so yeah. He's like, I'm just not at the point where I can say I'm in love. And this is obviously hard for her to hear because she's coming into this thinking she's going to tell him that I'm in love with him. And I just, I don't know where, I mean, again, how he feels shouldn't necessarily stop her from expressing how she feels. But I don't believe she is telling him how she feels because of really pure intentions. I think she's telling him because I'm trying to get him to express himself. Um, so he does apologize and he says, she says, you don't have to apologize for feeling what you're feeling. There are different phases of love, but I don't want to, sorry, I do want to say that I am in love with you. And I would be doing myself a disservice if I didn't say how I feel. And he has get emotional kind of hearing that. It's like, I think part of him can't accept that someone's in love with him. And that's where the emotional, um, his availability isn't there. So he does want to try to get there. He says, I'm trying. And she wants to help him. Ladies, sorry, 1 second, y'all. My bird is doing things he's not supposed to do, so I'm going to try and get this finished so I can take away things that he's not supposed to be touching. So, what I'm going to say is, ladies, we can't help a man fall in love with us. Just like the song, I can't make you love me if you don't. And I should not be responsible for helping you get somewhere that you're grown enough to figure out if you can get there or not. It's not up to me. So, I mean, I don't think she should be responsible for that. Um, so he may not be able to get there, but he does think that it's possible. Um, but she has something for him, and that's the fantasy suite card. And it reads, I hope seeing the mana rays tonight reminded you that wonder, much like love, can be found unexpectedly. Should you choose to forego your individual rooms, please use this key to stay as a couple in the fantasy suite, Jesse. And he thinks the fantasy suite will be a beneficial for their relationship to kind of see if they can kind of get there. So the next day, all seemed to go well for them. Um, and they made a good step in the right direction of getting there. So meanwhile, we see the wreck with Devin and back to the kind of opening scene that we saw right in the beginning. And Jesse comes by to talk to him, and he's like, I need to hear something that can get me through this process. I wanted to ask her if she loves me as much as I love her, but I didn't want to scare her. Jesse asked, like, did you get any reassurance at all? And he says that she says that she can see a future with me. It's nice and all, but it's not enough. He's like, I'm building her up, but I'm losing myself in the process. And that's not how it should be. He's like, I need to feel love. I don't feel like I'm the one. He says, I do feel selfish because I'm letting that get to me, but it's how I feel. And he's like, I get you want something back. But Jesse says, you got to hang on. Do you really see yourself ending now? And he says, I can't keep moving forward. I can't do it anymore. Then we see him going to Jen's room, and that's where this episode ends. So we should, I believe, based on the commercial, be getting an answer. Well, I'm sure all of you already know, but we're going to be getting an answer in the next episode, which is the men tell all. We've seen this kind of thing before in previous episodes, so previous seasons, I should say. So we're going to get the answer with that. So how we're going to basically do it is we're going to do the Men Tell All will most likely be its own episode, but we'll do kind of back to back Men Tell All and the finale, and we'll do that back to back. But that's not happening yet. We're going to be finishing up Love is Blind. Now I have watched all of Love is Blind, so I know what everything happens. So we're going to be doing probably all 3 episodes in one. Just because like the reunion is not that long. It was only an hour. So we're most likely going to be doing all 3 episodes in one episode. So that's what you can expect. If not, it'll be separated in 2, but we'll see how it goes. Yeah, so that's what you can expect. Love is Blind is next, and we will be concluding Love is Blind. But that is it. Again, thank you for your patience with this. Hopefully we're kind of getting back on track here. And once we kind of finish up with these, I'm trying to finish up these because these shows have ended. I'm trying to finish up the ones that have ended so we don't fall off too much. We will jump in with, back in with B90. We'll probably have 2 episodes that we'll go through. Toe. We'll probably have 3 episodes that we'll have to go through, as well as Forbidden Love will be the next one. And that's also ending. So we'll have those 2 or 3 shows that we'll kind of get back into that world. And then we will hopefully be able to get back into Selling Sunset as well. So we have that kind of happening. And I guess we might also be having Golden Bachelorette coming soon as well. So we have that coming up, but hopefully I can get a week before that comes. But anyways, that's what you can expect. Love is Blind, and then we'll finish up Bachelorette after. But that is it for this episode. So if you like what you heard, please rate, review the podcast on either Apple Podcasts or Spotify. Also, don't forget that you can also share us with everyone in your life if you really love this. And I do want to read those reviews. I'm definitely getting 5-star ratings, but I want to read those reviews. So send me those reviews and I'll read those 4 and 5-star reviews on the podcast. Also, we're on every one of your favorite podcast apps. Every one of them, including you can find us on YouTube at Reality Tea Times 2. If you want to connect with us, you can do so by going to either Facebook or Instagram at Reality Tea Times 2. You can also find us on Twitter, TikTok, Reddit at Reality Tea Times 2 pod. We also have our email, which is at realityteatimes2 at hotmail.com. Definitely want to hear from you guys. And we also have our new website where you can listen to all of these episodes. You can review the podcast on there as well. You can connect with me in any way, all the stuff. It's all there, and you can find me there at www.realityteatimes2, all spelled out, .podpage.io. It's there. And don't forget, I also have my other podcast with my friend Mikkel, Next Take Podcast, where we talk about all kinds of different topics. But you can find us on any of your favorite podcast apps over there as well. Or you can also go to YouTube and you go to Next Take Podcast, as well as our website, which is solo.to/Next Take Podcast. So yeah, there's that, and that's basically that. And again, don't forget, if all of this information is overwhelming, we do have all of the links, everything in our show notes. But that is it for now, guys. Thanks. Bye.